On February 14th, 2000, a 9-year-old girl did something that makes absolutely no sense. In the middle of a cold, rainy night, she packed her backpack, left her warm home, and walked alone into a storm. Multiple witnesses saw her walking along a dark highway at 4 a.m. And then she vanished. For over 2 decades, investigators have been trying to answer one question. Why would a shy, well-behaved child leave her home in the middle of the night? This is the haunting mystery of Asha Degree. What I'm about to tell you is one of the most perplexing missing persons cases in American history. Every detail makes the mystery deeper. Every clue raises more questions than answers. This isn't a case where we don't know what happened. We have witnesses, we have evidence, we have a timeline. But none of it makes sense. It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces come from different boxes. Before we dive in, I want to mention that Asha's family is still searching for answers. If you have any information about this case, please contact the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. Even the smallest detail could be the key to bringing Asha home. Now, let's go back to February 2000 to a small town in North Carolina and try to understand what happened to Asha Degree. Asha Jeanette Degree was born on August 5, 1990, in Shelby, North Carolina. Shelby is a small town about 50 miles west of Charlotte, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone. Asha lived with her parents, Harold and Aquila Degree, and her older brother O'Brien, who was 10 at the time of her disappearance. By all accounts, the Degrees were a close, loving family. Harold worked at Cargill Meat Solutions, and Aquila worked at Hattie Seat and Trim. Those who knew Asha described her as shy, quiet, and reserved, not the type of child to act impulsively or rebelliously. She was a good student at Falston Elementary School. She loved basketball and was on her school team, though she'd recently lost a game, which had upset her. Asha was afraid of the dark and afraid of dogs. This detail is crucial. Remember it, because it makes what happened next even more inexplicable. The Degree household had strict rules. The children had a set bedtime, limited TV time, and weren't allowed to roam the neighborhood unsupervised. Harold and Aquila were protective, watchful parents. This wasn't a home where a child could easily slip out unnoticed, or so everyone thought. February 14th, 2000 started as a normal day. It was Valentine's Day, and Asha went to school like always. That evening, the family went to a relative's house for a family gathering. Everything seemed completely normal. Asha seemed happy, playing with her cousins. But sometime between the evening of February 13th and the early morning hours of February 14th, something changed. And Asha made a decision that would baffle investigators for decades. Let's walk through that Sunday evening, February 13th, 2000, minute by minute, because understanding the hours before Asha disappeared is crucial. Around 8 p.m., the Degree family returned home from their relative's house. It had been a normal Sunday. Harold and Aquila prepared the kids for bed. Both Asha and O'Brien were in good spirits. At approximately 8:30 p.m., Asha and O'Brien were sent to bed. They shared a bedroom. Asha slept in the bottom bunk, and O'Brien slept in the top bunk. The bedroom door was left open, as it always was. Now here's an important detail. The Degree home was small. The parents' bedroom was directly across the hall from the children's room. Harold and Aquila could hear if the kids got up or moved around. The house was carpeted, but it was still a small space where sound traveled. Around 9 p.m., the power went out. A storm was rolling through Shelby. Heavy rain, strong winds, the kind of weather that keeps people indoors. The power outage affected the whole neighborhood. Harold got up and checked on the children. Both were asleep in their beds. Everything was fine. The power came back on around 12:30 a.m. Harold got up again to turn off the lights and TV that had come back on when power was restored. He checked on the kids again. Both were still in their beds, sleeping soundly. At 2:30 a.m., Harold woke up and heard O'Brien in the bathroom. He got up to check on him. O'Brien was fine, just using the bathroom. Harold glanced into the bedroom. He could see a figure in Asha's bed. He assumed she was asleep. He went back to bed. This is the last confirmed sighting of Asha Degree inside her home. At 5:30 a.m., Aquila got up to prepare for work. She had an early shift. She went to wake the children for school, and that's when she discovered Asha's bed was empty. At first, Aquila thought maybe Asha had gone to sleep in their bed, something the kids occasionally did. But Asha wasn't there. She checked the bathroom. Empty. She checked every room in the house. No Asha. Aquila woke Harold. They searched the house again, looking in closets, under beds, anywhere a small child might hide. Nothing. Then Harold noticed something that made his blood run cold. The front door was unlocked. In a house where doors were always locked at night, this was wrong. Very wrong. Harold ran outside in the rain, checking the yard, the street, calling Asha's name. Aquila was already on the phone with 911. The call came in at 5:45 a.m. A 9-year-old girl was missing from her home. But here's where the case takes its first bizarre turn. Asha hadn't been abducted from her home. She had left on her own, and investigators were about to discover she'd been seen by multiple witnesses, walking alone on a highway in the middle of a storm. When Cleveland County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the Degree home, they immediately began searching the area. They talked to neighbors, checked nearby yards and buildings. The weather was terrible, cold, rainy, windy. No child would be out in this weather by choice, they thought. But then the witnesses started coming forward. The first witness was a truck driver named Jeff Rupp. He came forward after seeing news reports about the missing girl. Rupp told police that around 3:45 to 4 a.m. on February 14th, he'd been driving south on Highway 18, about 1.5 miles from the Degree home. In his headlights, he saw a young black girl walking along the southbound side of the highway. She was wearing white or light-colored clothing and carrying something, possibly a backpack or bag. Rupp said the sight was so unusual, a child walking alone on a highway in the middle of the night during a storm, that he turned his truck around to check on her. But when he came back, she was gone. He assumed she'd been picked up by someone or had run into the woods. Rupp's account was detailed and credible. He described the location precisely, down to the mile marker. Investigators believed him. But then a second witness came forward, and then a third. Around 4 a.m., possibly just minutes after Rupp's sighting, another motorist, a man named Roy Blanton, saw the same girl. He was driving north on Highway 18, so he saw her from the opposite direction. Blanton told police he saw a young girl walking along the highway, and like Rupp, he found it so concerning that he turned around to help. But when he turned around, the girl ran into the woods. Let me repeat that. When a car turned around to help her, Asha ran into the woods. Into the dark, rainy forest. The same girl who was afraid of the dark and afraid of dogs ran into pitch-black woods to avoid being helped. Blanton described seeing her run into a wooded area near a business called Turner Upholstery, about 1.3 miles from her home. A third witness, who has never been publicly identified, also reported seeing a young girl matching Asha's description on Highway 18 that morning. So we have at least 3 independent witnesses who saw Asha walking alone on Highway 18 between 3:45 and 4:15 a.m. The witnesses didn't know each other. They came forward separately. Their accounts matched. This means Asha left her home sometime between 2:30 a.m., when Harold saw her in bed, and 3:45 a.m., first sighting on the highway. That's a window of about 75 minutes. Now, here's what makes this even more mystifying. Asha would have had to walk approximately 1.5 miles in the dark and the rain to reach the spot where she was first seen. For a 9-year-old child afraid of the dark, this seems almost impossible. The route from her home to Highway 18 would have required her to walk through her neighborhood, past streetlights, past neighbors' homes where dogs might bark, to reach the highway. And somehow, she did all of this without being seen by anyone else, until she reached that desolate stretch of road. After she ran into the woods near Turner Upholstery, Asha Degree was never seen again. The FBI joined the case immediately. This wasn't just a runaway situation. This was a 9-year-old child who'd vanished in suspicious circumstances. The investigation became massive. Search teams scoured the woods where Asha was last seen. They used tracking dogs, helicopters, volunteers, hundreds of people searching through the rain-soaked forest. They found nothing. Investigators interviewed the family extensively. Harold and Aquila took polygraph tests. They passed. O'Brien, only 10 years old, was interviewed carefully. His story never changed. He went to bed, woke up to use the bathroom around 2:30 a.m., went back to sleep, and didn't hear Asha leave. Police looked at every angle. Could someone have lured her out? Was she meeting someone? Was there any sign of abuse or trouble at home? Every investigation came back negative. The degrees were exactly what they appear to be, a loving, normal family devastated by their daughter's disappearance. They investigated Asha's school, her basketball team, her church, every person she had contact with. Nothing raised red flags. The search continued for days, then weeks. Tips came in, hundreds of them, but none led anywhere concrete. And then, 3 days after Asha disappeared, investigators found something. On February 17, 2000, searchers discovered a shed belonging to Turner Upholstery, the same business near where Asha was last seen. Inside the shed, they found items that made their hearts sink: candy wrappers, a pencil, and a marker. The Degree family confirmed these items could have belonged to Asha. It appeared she had taken shelter in the shed at some point during her journey. But this raised more questions. How long was she there? Did she rest there before continuing on? Where did she go after leaving the shed? The shed was about 1.3 miles from her home. If Asha had made it to the shed, taken shelter, and then left, where did she go? Why didn't the search teams find any trace of her beyond that point? Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The case went cold. But then, over a year later, something happened that reignited the investigation and made the mystery even deeper. On August 3, 2001, nearly 18 months after Asha disappeared, a construction crew was working along Highway 18, about 26 miles north of where Asha was last seen. One of the workers found something buried in a shallow grave off the side of the highway: a backpack. Not just any backpack, Asha's backpack. The backpack had been wrapped in a plastic bag and buried. Inside were Asha's clothes, including her distinctive black jeans and white sneakers. Also inside was a photograph, not of Asha, but of an unidentified young black girl with other children. No one, including the Degree family, could identify the girl in the photo. There was also a book, McElligott's Pool by Dr. Seuss. The Degree family said this book did not belong to Asha, and they'd never seen it before. Think about what this means. Someone had Asha's belongings. Someone kept them for over a year. And then someone buried them 26 miles away from where she was last seen. This discovery changed everything. It strongly suggested that Asha hadn't simply gotten lost in the woods and succumbed to the elements. Someone had taken her. Someone had her backpack. And that someone had deliberately buried it over a year later. But who? And why bury the backpack at all? Was it an attempt to dispose of evidence? Or was it something else? Investigators re-examined every detail. They re-interviewed witnesses. They created a new timeline. In 2016, the FBI released age-progressed photos showing what Asha might look like at age 25. They renewed their appeal for information. Then, in February 2018, on the 18th anniversary of Asha's disappearance, police held a press conference. They revealed new information. They believed someone had picked up Asha after she ran into the woods. They also revealed something else, something that had been kept quiet for years. Before she disappeared, Asha had packed her backpack with very specific items. Multiple changes of clothes, her basketball uniform, a family photograph, some personal items. This wasn't a child wandering off impulsively. This was planned. Asha had prepared to leave. She'd packed deliberately, carefully choosing what to bring. But here's what investigators couldn't find: any evidence of where she was planning to go or why she was planning to leave. There was no note, no journal entries suggesting unhappiness, no indication she was running away from something or running toward something. In 2020, investigators announced they'd conducted new searches and were following new leads, but they didn't reveal what those leads were. In February 2021, police revealed they were looking for a specific vehicle: a dark green, early 1970s Lincoln Mark IV, or a Ford Thunderbird with rust around the wheel wells and a vinyl top. They believed this car was in the area where Asha was last seen. And that brings us to the present day. The case remains unsolved, but active. The FBI still considers Asha's case one of their priority missing children cases. So what happened to Asha Degree? After 25 years of investigation, there are several theories, but none of them fully explain all the evidence. Theory 1. She was groomed and lured out ***. This is what many investigators believe. The theory suggests someone had been grooming Asha, possibly someone she trusted, like a teacher, coach, family friend, or someone from church. This person convinced her to sneak out and meet them, perhaps promising her something or convincing her she was going on an adventure. This would explain why she packed her bag deliberately. It would explain why she left willingly. And it would explain why she ran from the cars that tried to help her. She'd been told not to talk to anyone, that their meeting was a secret. The problem with this theory: no evidence of grooming has ever been found. Police investigated everyone in Asha's life extensively. No one raised suspicions. No inappropriate communications were found. Theory 2. She witnessed something ***. Some speculate that Asha might have seen or heard something, either at home or elsewhere, that made her feel she needed to leave. Perhaps she overheard a conversation she misunderstood or saw something that frightened her. This could explain the impulsive nature of leaving in the middle of the night during a storm. It could explain why she seemed to be running away from something rather than toward something. The problem: Asha's behavior before she disappeared showed no signs of fear or distress. Her family noticed nothing unusual. Theory 3. She was meeting someone she met online ***. In 2000, internet access was becoming more common, though not universal. Some have theorized that Asha might have been communicating with someone online. However, the Degree family did not have a computer or internet access at home. Asha could have potentially used computers at school or the library, but investigators found no evidence of any concerning online activity. Theory 4. The sleepwalking theory. Could Asha have been sleepwalking? This would explain the seemingly irrational decision to leave in the middle of the night during a storm. But sleepwalkers don't typically pack bags before leaving. They don't walk 1.5 miles successfully navigating streets and roads. And the witnesses described Asha walking purposefully, not wandering aimlessly as a sleepwalker might. Theory 5. She left to prove something. Asha's basketball team had lost a game the day before she disappeared, and she'd been upset about it. Some wonder if she left to prove she was brave or to run away temporarily to make a point, the way children sometimes do, intending to come home after teaching everyone a lesson about not appreciating her. This could explain the packed bag and the purposeful departure. But it doesn't explain the photograph of the unknown girl in her backpack, or how her backpack ended up buried 26 miles away over a year later. Theory 6. Opportunistic abduction. Perhaps Asha did leave of her own accord for a reason we'll never fully understand, and she was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Someone driving along Highway 18 saw a vulnerable child alone and took the opportunity. This would explain why she was never found after running into the woods. Someone grabbed her. It would explain the buried backpack. The abductor kept it as a trophy or evidence, then disposed of it later. The problem: this requires believing in a massive coincidence, that Asha randomly decided to walk along a highway in the middle of the night, and a predator just happened to be driving by at exactly that moment. Today, Asha Degree would be 34 years old. Her parents still live in the same house, keeping Asha's room exactly as she left it, hoping that one day she'll walk through the door. Every year on February 14th, the community holds a vigil. Asha's case has never been forgotten in Shelby, North Carolina. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office maintains that this case is solvable. They believe someone knows something, whether it's information about the green car they're looking for, or knowledge about who was grooming Asha, or details about what happened after she ran into those woods. Here's what we know for certain. 1. Asha left her home voluntarily between 2:30 a.m. and 3:45 a.m. on February 14th, 2000. 2. She packed a bag with specific items before leaving. 3. Multiple witnesses saw her walking along Highway 18. 4. She ran into the woods when cars tried to help her. 5. Her backpack was found buried 26 miles away over a year later. 6. Someone was driving a green, early 70s Lincoln or Thunderbird in the area that night. And here's what we don't know. Why did she leave? Where was she going? Who was she meeting, if anyone? Who picked her up after she ran into the woods? Where's Asha now? The case of Asha Degree is a reminder that sometimes the most disturbing mysteries are the ones that start with a simple, unanswerable question. Why? Why would a shy, scared of the dark, well-loved 9-year-old girl pack a bag and walk into a storm in the middle of the night? If you have any information about Asha Degree's disappearance, please contact the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office at 704-484-4822 or the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Asha's family deserves answers. Asha deserves to be found. What do you think happened to Asha Degree? Do you believe she was groomed by someone she knew? Or do you think something else happened that night? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you want to see more deep dives into unsolved mysteries, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Hit the like button if you appreciate the research that goes into these videos. In the next video, we'll be covering another case that will keep you up at night. Until then, stay curious, stay respectful, and never stop asking questions. This is the Vanish Files, and I'll see you in the next mystery.